Hello, everyone. Welcome to the One I Need podcast. Thank you for stopping by and joining our conversation. We want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share, and also engage us in the comment section. So today we're chatting about the challenges in Nigeria, and we're thinking: is religion truly one of the problems in Nigeria? Is religion stopping Nigeria from developing, or do you think religion is giving people hope, especially the common man? What what's your perspective on this topic?
For me, I think I would say on a normal condition, religion is not supposed to be hindering Nigeria from developing or from growing as a country. It's just that we take religion to extremes, so that would be the problem right there. Other parts of the world, other countries, they practice religion and it doesn't get in the way of their productivity. But in Nigeria is where somebody will leave what they're supposed to be doing, as in putting in the work. They will leave it alone and go to the prayer house to be praying, and they go to the mountain to be asking God for favor. That is where you will see somebody that is not productive, is not working, is not doing anything, and is praying to God for favor. How will God favor you? You don't have anything that you're doing. You don't have a business. You don't have a job. What exactly are you asking God to favor? A lot of times I have conversation with my wife, we talk about it. I still remember a lot of people when we were in school in Nigeria in PTI where we'll have exam and some people will decide to go to night vigil, and go pray for God to help them pass the exam. And I was asking my wife because she's SU. She said she never did that, but she saw a lot of people do that. How are you not putting the work and expecting God to to bless the work of your hands or to bless you? And unfortunately, religion has taken over Nigeria. I think it's doing damages to Nigeria economy, and it's just that we are not just ready for that conversation. Especially Christianity is, every three poles or six poles you see a church. And in some cases, in a particular place, a particular location, you probably see like three, four different churches. And then even though we pray every day, even though we almost pray more than every other country in the world, but we still have more problem than, the rest of the world. We still have our politicians, stealing. And then when they steal from the people, when they steal the money meant for the people, they will go to the church and donate it to the church. And a lot of the church houses, they do not ask questions. We saw that lady, I think a minister of a humanitarian affair. I think her name is Edun, if I'm correct. When she got the ministerial appointment, when Tinubu appointed her for the to be the minister of humanitarian affairs, she went back to the church. I think it was Winners to give testimony that he got a ministerial appointment, that he's been praying to God for that, and she gave a verified, tithe on that. Later, it was discovered that she's corrupt, and then she diverted a lot of money from that ministry, the ministry that's supposed to be helping people. And this is the same for almost most people. They will steal from the people. They will steal from the money meant for the people and go donate it in the church. And the church, ask questions. So to answer your question, currently I think religion is getting in the way of productivity. A lot of people just sit down, pray to God for favor, pray to God for cars, to God for for houses, without putting in the work.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. I share in that sentiment as well. Religion shouldn't be a thing that would hold the country back, but in Nigeria, we overdo things. We overdo religion. We overdo tribalism, and everything combined together is just bad for business, right? And I don't really blame people that are spending a lot of time in prayers because that's what they've been taught over the years. Many of us grew up in a religious home, depending on how you grow up. You either grow up being a Muslim or a Christian or being a traditional worshiper. And whichever one you were part of, you're diligent. You're part of that community, and your parent will make sure you learn all the tenets and ensure that you become a good part of the society or a good member of that religious community. But we also need to start bringing this to people's attention. Maybe people that are doing this, they probably don't know. They don't know better. It's what they've done all their lives. It's never too late. You can always make changes. When we continue to sensitize people on this topic, that's when they will really see what they're doing and how they can better act. With the examples that you brought up with students going to pray instead of studying for their exams. Yeah, it's just the way we've been wired to think. We don't want to put in the work, but we want to experience the benefit. So we don't want to put in the work, but we want to see and compare ourselves to people that are doing well and people that have, put in the work over the years. And then want to compare with them. We want to get what they got. Maybe they've been working for 10, 15 years and you're just a fresh graduate, you want to get everything they've got. And that has pushed a lot of people into doing illegal things. Religion, I believe, has its own benefit and has a lot of disadvantages as well. And part of the benefit is that the people that brought religion to us brought education with it. It educated our people and were able to read and write in English, even though many of us lost our mother tongue. But we learned that language, and some people will say maybe it's a way to colonize us. They taught us the language, but we can't really translate our own language into their own textbooks in order to be able to teach our own people. If you think about it, when you go to Germany, they're gonna teach them in German language. When you go to any part of Europe where they don't speak English, they're gonna teach them in their local language. In France, they will teach them in French. But in Nigeria, we still can teach physics. We can teach science. In Yoruba, in Igbo, in Hausa, we still have to depend on that English language. So everything is just interrelated. It's the way we've been designed. It's the way we've been brought up. And one disadvantage that I see is a lot of people, spending productive time doing religious activities and not really investing in things that can better their lives, that can make them money. And I've seen a lot of sentiment about this online where people will say, the religious leaders and the politicians are in the same boat. Because if things were to start working in Nigeria, people will stop going to church. People will stop patronizing mosques. People will stop going to the traditional people. So the politicians and the religious people are working together to keep the Nigerian people down. Because if the government is working, people won't have time to go to their religious locations. They want to work, 24 hours a day. They want to work all around the clock, making money and enjoying life. Unfortunately, the system's not working. So what people have to depend on now is religion. Religion is giving people hope. That's another positive about religion. It's giving people hope. It's giving people something to dream about, something to keep busy with and to connect with their own God. So if the system in Nigeria were to be working, I'm sure we won't see a lot of people in religious gatherings, and it's going to affect the religious leaders' income. So in order for their income not to be affected, they work together with the politicians to not ask for accountability, to not demand better governance. And that way, the lives of the people continue to remain the same.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. If Nigeria is a working system or were to be working, I think most people will not go to church the way they do. Even here in America, I don't really see. I'm not sure a lot of people go to church because they want to go and pray, they want to go and cast and bind. I think people go to church for, just to look for a place to go after going to work throughout the week. I think it's more a social gathering than, what they have in Nigeria. I know there is problem everywhere, but it's just unfortunate that Nigeria doesn't work. That's why we spend a lot of our productive time to go and pray and cast and bind and, ask God for light, ask God for car, ask God for, good road and stuff like that. Just wasting our time praying for things that are just necessity, things that you're supposed to have to, to make your life meaningful, make your life better. But the thing is that the failure of government has, drawn people into the church. People feel like, there is some sense of escape. People use the church to escape the bad governance and stuff like that, to the point that people begin to depend on various religious associations to cater for them. I think this is really doing us more harm than good, and I think it will take a long time for us to realize it, that our productive time we are spending it in the church. In fact, I have a very good experience when I was in around the JSS 2, JSS 3, SS 1. I used to be a part of a prayer band, prayer warrior team. Man, we spend a lot of time going to night vigil. We go to night vigil 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. You get home, you sleep for like 2 hours, wake up to get ready for school. I mean, I thank God for my life that, I passed through that out. But today, sometimes I sit down, begin to reminisce on those things. A lot of time I discover that, despite the fact that I grew up in the church and I grew up almost with the fear of God, but I just feel like those were like wasting time. Instead of opening your books, you go to the church, spend almost all your night in the church. When you get to school, you'll be sleepy, you won't be paying attention. And now I begin to reminisce on those things, but that is the nature of Nigeria. I think Nigeria forced us to do that. I don't think there's anybody here that will be going to night vigil like that. People have better things to do with their time. In fact, once you have bills here that you're paying, that will make you decide what you want to do with your life. When my wife was in nursing school, she was missing church. And one day I asked her, was this the way you used to miss church in Nigeria? She said, so, when you have things to do, you have responsibilities. Yeah, I mean, nobody will talk to you, nobody will advise you. You miss church if you really have something important to do. But I think the Nigerian economy, everything happening in Nigeria has really made people lazy, quote unquote, and begin to spend their productive time in the church, doing things that, will not get them anywhere. A lot of times, if God want to bless you, He will probably want to bless you with the work of your hands. You have a job, but if you don't have something doing, where will He put that blessing? It's not the rocket science. I think it's just the common sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, here you rarely see churches, whether American churches or African churches or any religious organization planning an overnight program during a business week or during the week. You rarely find those places. During the week, there might be people going for an hour or two in the evening after work or before work. But there's nothing like staying during the workday, maybe on a Wednesday morning, staying for 4 hours, 6 hours, and not going to work. You hardly see things like that here. If you see, maybe it's a once in a while program. So yeah, it doesn't really happen here. And so many religious leaders here too, they have their own job and they just lead a religious organization because they have a passion for it or because they like to lead or because God has called them into one assignment or the other. People here work, live, enjoy life, and some go to their religious organizations, some stay back home. So I think when our country start working, we're gonna see a lot of the population stop going to all these religious venues, and we'll see what happens when that happens. But I think we're wasting a lot of productive time, especially during the week where you could be learning a trade or gaining new businesses to move your business forward. So it's just a country, it's just the way things have always been done. So until we start changing our mindsets or and changing the way people approach religion, it would look like God is not answering our prayers. We pray a lot in Nigeria. We're probably the most religious nation in the world, but it's not really translating to good governance. It's not translating to social benefits that will help the lives of a common man. So yeah, maybe we should work and pray or balance it out and see what God will do instead of just focusing on God and not doing the other part of it. So I think balancing is really key. Yeah, I mean, everyone should believe there's God. If you don't believe there's God, then probably something is wrong with you. But your belief is your belief. I can't fault you for that. So it's important to gather together, but don't overdo it. I know we tend to overdo things in our community. Hopefully, things will continue to improve.
In conclusion, for the fact that somebody goes to church every day throughout the year, 56 weeks or 56 Sundays a year, and never miss church doesn't mean that they are Christ-like, or doesn't mean that they won't swindle you, doesn't mean that they will not, steal from you, doesn't mean that they will not cheat you when when the opportunity presents itself. It doesn't mean that they will not steal from the government. It doesn't mean, in fact, I have, with this, I think I have a lot of stories. When I was in Warri like that, my friend has a motor spare part shop, very big shop. There's this guy, I think he's still the bodyguard to Pastor Ayo. He will come to the store, buy a lot of part because that guy had I think at that time he had an oil servicing company to add Jeep and Shell. He will come, buy a lot of part for his cars. The guy will not pay. You call him, he will lie to you. And that is a Christian right there. In fact, the other day I called out my friend. He told me that one day he had to go to church, threatened to go talk to Ayo. That was how his money came out. So that somebody goes to church every time, that somebody wears suit and tie to church does not necessarily mean that they are good people. There are a lot of people that have never stepped their foot in the church that are way better than the people that goes to church every Sunday, goes to midweek, goes to Bible study. There are people like that that are way better than people that have never stepped their foot in the church. So in conclusion, spend your time wisely. Do not spend the productive time in the church. If you get hungry, the church may not be able to feed you. If your landlord gives you quit notice, your church might not be able to come to your rescue. Spend your time wisely, balance it out. Balancing is the key. Make sure that you're actually spending productive time doing something productive that will give you money to take care of yourself. And then in your spare time, if you have any spare time, spend it in the church. God will understand. And thank you for watching, and then we'll see you on the other side.